Hi, how's everybody doing today? I'm here with Cyrus, and we're here to talk about Amazon seller best practices and some of the costly misconceptions out there. If you haven't tuned in before, we are doing an Amazon kind of best sellers series right here, things to expect. We also do have an offer for anybody who's interested in getting on Amazon or is already existing on Amazon. If you type in keyword below, you'll get a free Amazon keyword analysis, as well as like some sales projections and estimates on it, which is pretty good across the board with that. Cyrus, you want to give a quick introduction?
Sure. My name is Cyrus, and I have been working inside the Amazon ecosystem both as a business owner and now as a consultant for a couple of years. And I think this is the 6th year that I've really been working deep in Amazon, and it's just as dynamic as day one.
Great. And I'm Ryan Flanagan. I'm the CEO of Nuance Media. We've done over $150 million in e-commerce, a ton on Amazon, and we're really about focusing on best practices on Amazon for sellers and really great ways to make some money. So what we're going to talk about here, really to kind of get the ball rolling, are some of Amazon's sellers' best practices and what we should really think about with that. Cyrus, do you kind of want to start us out with this?
Sure. So this is, really what it comes down to, if you're just getting started with the marketplace and really don't have an existing sort of going concern on the marketplace, what really it boils down to is doing your homework, really planning and making sure that you do the research needed to make sure that you're de-risking the entire operation and that you're, giving yourself the best chance of success on the, inside of Amazon, because it's kind of brutal out there, and doing the legwork up front and making sure that you know what you're doing when you get on the marketplace is probably the best thing you can do to ensure some success.
Yeah, and this is really something we've talked about previously in the series and things like that, but laying out a good action plan, execution plan, having strategy is really critical, not only when you're setting up an account, but really when you're, once actually you're even up and optimized, or like maybe you're missing some opportunities. We all know that conversion rate's really important. Maybe there's some tweaks that you can do with your pay-per-click strategy. There's a variety of things like that. So, kind of number one with best practices is make sure you have a game plan, make sure you're analyzing things. And then, Cyrus, drum roll, what is the number 2 thing that people should be really focusing on when they're thinking about being a seller? What's the second best practice?
Well, and first, going back to point 1, one of the best things about Amazon in general is that it is possible to actually reverse engineer your sales. There's a lot of open data out there. You can find out in various keyword search volumes and set some benchmarks for yourself to really understand what sort of velocity of the sales that you have, how many units you need to sell per day you need to get to be on page 1 for certain terms, and then what sort of traffic that brings you in. That's one of the beauties about working inside of Amazon. You just need to kind of stay in that mindset. But Ryan, to your question, the number 2, or actually, let's call it the 1A. This is just as important as preparing a plan for yourself, plan of action. And this is surprising to me that there aren't more people out there. There are people out there that don't really have this sort of in the back of their minds at all times, but knowing your unit economics. And what I mean by that is, how much does your product cost? How much does it cost to bring into a fulfillment center? Most likely FBA if you're just getting started. How much does it cost to go from that fulfillment center to the customer's address? Were you aware that Amazon takes 15% off the top when you sell? All of those things have big impacts in terms of what your gross margin looks like, both in terms of actual dollars and in terms of percentages. And then also things like, what's your ROI? And that's a little bit different than your gross margin, because your ROI is actually what you invest to get the product to a sellable condition, but that doesn't include post-sale fees. And so, those are big keystone figures that really help you understand, and they really are big data points and sort of the decision making that you need to have inside of the Amazon space.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the thing that I find really compelling is to kind of echo your side earlier about reverse engineering Amazon. That's something you can really do, but when you reverse engineer it, you have to make sure you're making money. It's really easy to kind of race to the bottom of the barrel and try to sell things for very inexpensive on Amazon. But there's actually ways that you could honestly almost lose money on Amazon if you're not thinking about how much it costs to manufacture, to produce, and do those type of things. So that's something that you really want to think about while you're doing this, while you're setting yourself up on Amazon, and really kind of one of the major basic practices of being an Amazon seller. What would you say if we're on 1A and 1B? What is 2? Cyrus, what's the second thing that we really need to know?
Well, this is definitely separate from, or this is like definitely below those 2 items. But the next part is that when you do get into Amazon, it's all about focusing on the fundamentals. It's not about reviews matter, of course, but it's not about how do I get reviews, because reviews don't have a direct link to sales. But it's really more so about focusing on the items that bring more traffic to your listing, that help convert the traffic, and ideally also increase the average order value on Amazon through frequently bought together or cross sells or things like that. I mean, it's pretty standard e-commerce stuff. But when I say focus on the fundamentals, it's more like optimizing your listing for conversions before you turn on the traffic faucet. So that means really, really good photos, compelling product copy, setting up some enticing offers and add-ons, things that might, that allow you to compete with the competition, not just on price, but on value added. Then there is reviews. Of course, reviews do matter. They're a big conversion piece. So that does help, but that kind of is more of a byproduct of people coming to your listing, converting, and being happy. So that's one part. And then, that's on the conversion rate optimization side, or what's called CRO. Mm-hmm. And on the other side is making sure you're able to be seen. And so this is like search engine optimization, or SEO.
Right.
And this is just making sure that if you sell a fidget spinner, and I wouldn't suggest anyone goes out and sells a fidget spinner because it's crazy. But sell a fidget spinner and you don't index for the word fidget, then people typing fidget spinner into Amazon will never see your listing. Right. And that kind of defeats the purpose, right? I mean, you need to make sure that for anything that relevantly describes your product, you need to show up for that. And so that's the whole idea around the SEO practice. And then the third part is just making sure that your advertising is done well. And that's, most of the time pay-per-click advertising, but there's also additional items to it. So, yeah.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. What are the? Yeah, like I like to look at it particularly because the company's name Nuanced Media, pun intended. It's really about the nuances when you're looking at those type of things. Like, what are the sales psychology that we're using in the text? Are we focusing on the right type of offers, the giveaways? When we ship something out, do we send a flyer with it to get them to purchase maybe on our e-commerce site? Because then we can grab some more information, do some different things like that. And I think that's all really important when you look at Amazon and what you're doing with this. So those are kind of the 3. Have a plan, have a strategy, really do the math on this. Make sure that you're going to make a profit. Make sure that you're priced competitively. Make sure you understand that whole side of it. And then really focus on the nuances, particularly the optimization of the listing. Maybe you get a product family with this. Think about those type of things before turning on, basically paying for traffic and things like this, because you really need to be converting high to get the velocity that you need in order to rank and then make this have a much longer return on investment with that. So that's kind of my, in a nutshell.
Right.
Do you have anything else to add in that?
I mean, in a nutshell, I mean, the thing that matters the most to Amazon is, are you helping to improve the profitability and also the positive experience of every customer? So first of all, you need to have a good product, and you need to, you need to give a good positive experience, but you also need to improve the profitability of Amazon. And so you do that by converting better than someone else, meaning that Amazon wants you to, they'll give you preferential treatment and show your product before someone else's if you can, if you can lead to a sale more effectively, for a particular search term. And this happens at the search term levels. It's a little more technical than I think we're trying to get here.
We're not doing the deep dive as of yet. We will in the future, but not right now. This is kind of top of the view.
Yeah. But if you convert better, and if you've done the work on converting better than someone else, it leads to a virtuous cycle where you get more traffic and then you convert more. And it's one of those things where focusing on conversion first and then turning on the traffic faucet is generally the best way to go, and kind of it creates that upward spiral.
Great. Also, we are getting some comments, some reactions. It looks like we got Nikita back here. He's saying it's nice to see you guys. It's nice to see you guys again. Your stream is very useful. Thank you, Nikita. We appreciate that. Looks like some persons who requested the keyword analysis. We appreciate all of the people that are continuing to follow and interact with us. If you're tuning in for the first time, please feel to engage, ask questions, do anything like that. We will not bite, and we're just pretty active on this. So let's kind of go to the next phase of this particular show and talk about some Amazon costly misconceptions. And I'll go on the first one here. Is you don't, like, one of the major misconceptions here is that you basically need to invent your own products to be on Amazon. And that's actually not true. There's a whole market of people who are going to Alibaba or some different areas, getting a product, putting their own label on it, and then selling it on Amazon. So there's a ton of kind of like this merchant level that's going on Amazon, that people are finding opportunities and then going from there, reselling, analyzing the competitiveness of the industry, and focusing on it with that. Cyrus, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, and actually in some cases, these people who make private label products, because they're there's a difference between someone who manufactures and who's very, very good at making products, and someone who might be really good at marketing it. So in some cases, if you're not inventing your own products, you may end up doing better than someone who is. Hopefully you're not coming in direct competition with one another, but at the same time, there is like a big marketing component that is a real advantage if you do it well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the real thing is you don't have to necessarily be the person who's creating the machine and then selling the machine. There is a merchant opportunity. So that's really the thing. The next thing I kind of want to talk about is that Amazon's just like any other website. No, it is not. It's, I've quoted this numerous times. I'm sure you guys are getting sick of me saying this, but it's 49% of e-commerce is actually sold through Amazon. 49%. So, it's the number one, it's the Google, it's the Facebook of social media, it's the number one e-commerce site out there. It converts, we see Amazon listings converting at 15, 20, 30%. E-commerce sites typically convert at like 1 to 3% on average. So the conversion rate, just think about that. If I have an Amazon listing that's converting at 20%, 100 people visit my listing, that's 20 sales. The same thing on my e-commerce. If you have 2 people converting, that's 2 sales. It's a tenfold opportunity by doing things really well on Amazon. And then also you want to think that there's a lot of search traffic and product search traffic that's happening exactly on Amazon compared to necessarily on your e-commerce site. I believe the breakdown is it's like 40% of people are searching for products on Amazon, followed by Google at 35%, and then like Walmart, other sites that have e-commerce, Target, some other sites that have that are like 15%. So they're way down there. Your e-commerce site is way down there. Cyrus, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, and it's actually what's really interesting to think about Amazon really, and what puts it in such a unique perspective is that you can both actively market. It's like it's both an advertising place to advertise, just like Google or Facebook might be, but it's also the same place to get free traffic. And the fact that those two are so tightly linked to one another makes it such a unique place. And frankly, it makes it so it's one of the most powerful elements about Amazon.
Yeah, it's just I mean it's a huge opportunity. I think we've kind of drowned people out with that. We are getting some good questions. Thank you everybody for who's asking the questions on that. We will get that later into the show with this. And then the next thing is, the other misconception, and this could be a really costly one, is that Amazon's already saturated. I can't win these days on Amazon. There's no way to do it. Cyrus, I'll let you field this one.
I mean, you and I both know that that's not true, right? I mean, we've seen plenty of people coming onto Amazon for the first time in even the last like 5-6 months. Have never done anything on Amazon, and they take off. And it's, there's always a place, and there's always going to be a place in the people for people, and more importantly for brands who can market and sell and really appreciate the nuances of Amazon. It's going to keep growing. They're looking for new products. They actually put a big premium and a big emphasis on high quality branded products. Mm-hmm. And just so long as you do something better, that you source product more profitably, you are really good with the supply chain. If you just market better, there's always something you can do to gain an advantage with Amazon and to really succeed on that.
Yeah, most definitely. And then there's always going to be fads that come around, like the fidget spinner. That's a great example that you brought up earlier. Like that was a fad and it blew up. So what's going to happen this Christmas? And if you can get ahead of that, if you can see the indicators earlier, you can make a ton of money on it. Particularly other things like really timely events, such as a solar eclipse. Things like that are real big opportunities when there's going to be a rush. And then how do you get about that? So those are things to think about when you're selling on Amazon. The thing I really want to express with this is Amazon's just getting more and more and more integrated. So it's not full. You can't win. Right now is actually the time to win because you can always do better than your competition. There's a lot of things out there that are not set up properly, and we see that every day. I mean, we come in and do analyses of clients' existing listings, and 99 times out of 100 we'll find major issues that we can go in and fix and make a really big return on investment by focusing on that. So the next misconception here is that you'll be immediately successful on Amazon. That you'll launch and you'll get up and boom, you'll be making $1 billion. Cyrus, tell us about how you could be immediately successful, because I want $1 billion. That's really what I want. Can I do that tomorrow? Is that how that works?
I mean, you can't have it tomorrow. It is amazing. And you and I both have come across people that they come to us and they're like, I want $1 million. I want to sell $1 million in 4 months without any sort of idea of, which is possible.
Yep.
It is possible, but it requires executing on an extremely tight plan, investing a ton into it. There's a huge component of this planning and research that we were talking about earlier, and really needing to invest. I mean, you need to be prepared, and I don't want to say spend, but you need to be prepared to invest a lot into the success of your Amazon operation, because it will provide gains, it will provide great returns, but it doesn't come just by listing the product. There's a lot of legwork that goes into it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that's the thing is you have to project budget. The thing that we see with this is Amazon's really based on velocity or sales. What Amazon wants to do, similar to what Google does with click-through rate and things like that, what Amazon really wants to do is give its people the stuff that's selling the best. So if you can have a tiered level, maybe focusing on lower hanging keywords at first and get some sales like that, build some velocity, then get to phase 2 and then get to phase 3, that's how you get to selling a ton on Amazon and being successful. So it's a long game. The typical launch of a product, can take anywhere from 2 to 6 months. Typically on 6 months, you're spending pretty heavily on it. But the big return on investment, if you've done your analysis, you've reverse engineered it, you can make millions and millions of dollars by focusing on long-term game and really executing appropriately on this. I'll take the next one. So low prices generate sales. That's not necessarily true. Low prices can be associated with not quality items that you don't really have to race to the bottom with this. There is packaging psychology that you can put in there to raise the price. Additionally, what we see because of the fulfillment costs and all these other things is that low pricing can really significantly eat into your margin with this. Honestly, you probably, for the most part, want to stay away from prices that are under $20 to make a decent margin and kind of push above $20, or at least combine a few products so then your overall products is over $20. Cyrus, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I mean, you just have to think about it this way. Like, you have one product that costs $60, another product that costs $20. In order to make the same level of profit, you have to sell 3 times as many units of the $20 product. And, getting the sale is one of the toughest things to do. And so you're giving yourself 3 times the work. And so unless you have, unless it's an everyday item and you have really, really strong margins, I mean, if you're coming at this completely new, don't be seduced by the $20 product that you think is going to fly off the shelves. I mean, it's something where you really have to take into consideration. It will take 3 times, sometimes maybe even more, 3 times the work to get that same level of profit.
That's interesting. Well, and then on the other side, though, the more sales, the more velocity too, right? So that's the compelling thing when you look at Amazon. It is this kind of apples and orange area. So the next question here is, success requires a huge number of reviews. I need thousands upon thousands of reviews in order to be successful. Cyrus, I'll let you take this one.
I mean, let's not ignore the fact that reviews are extremely important. I mean, Amazon was one of the first sites that implemented reviews way back in the 90s, and it helped them to improve their conversions, and it got them to this crazy level of conversion that helped them grow to where they are today. And it's a big thing. I mean, it's part of the algorithm that determines where you show up in search. But the number of reviews isn't as important as having a few good reviews to start. I mean, honestly, when turning on the traffic costs, 5 to 10 reviews in general should be totally fine. As you get more reviews, that's not going to determine, or that's not going to be the biggest determinant in how you get more visible. We've seen companies with no reviews end up on the first page, and it's just simply because they converted better. And so it really boils down more so to conversions and optimizing your listing to be primed to convert well. And so, yeah, I mean, this is like things like videos, good-looking photos, user-generated content. If your customers are able to do that, being really professional, having a really putting your best foot forward and showing that you're a real company that stands behind it. And this means also, responding to every review in a very professional way, answering question and answers in a very professional way. I mean, those are just as much customer service pieces as they are sales pieces. But you need to just be building all this you need to be building trust on the listing, and there's a lot of ways to do that besides reviews. Although reviews are kind of one of the quickest ways to do it, but it's not the end all be all.
It's really about it's really about building trust and reducing uncertainty. That's really what it comes down to. So, I could have a listing that has hundreds and hundreds of 4.25 star reviews, but if I only have one photo, I don't have a well done description, all this type of stuff, I'm more likely to buy from another product that has maybe 100 reviews compared to thousands of reviews at the same rating area, but has a full listing, has a question and answer area, has all these other types of things, maybe a video like you talked about before. We're getting a ton of questions, by the way. Thank you, everybody, for the questions. We're going to hop into that in 1 second. And that's really, it shows you that you're professional looking, that you focus on customer service, that you care, that you're a real business. That's really what you're getting at, is put yourself in the shoes of somebody first coming to your business, and are you putting your best foot forward, or does something look a little, sketchy or anything like that? That's the most important thing to remember. Sorry I stepped on you there. Did you have anything else to add?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so we're going into the question and answer part of this. So I'm going to cue the Q&A side of this, and we have a number of questions. So I'm going to kind of bring them up. I'm going to start out with Cecilia now. She's been a long-time listener, but she said, "I think I'm ready to start selling on Amazon, but I'm afraid the market is pretty oversaturated. What is the one major thing I can do to differentiate myself from similar sellers?" So Cyrus, I'll let you handle that one. I'm letting you handle not this one, by the way. I'm very giving that way.
One of the biggest things is that if you're going to go sell on Amazon, if you're new to starting a company from scratch, if you're going to go sell on Amazon, the best way to differentiate yourself is to start building a brand and using Amazon as a channel to build the brand. And there's a lot of ways that you can do that. Better packaging, better photos, better description of the product. Maybe you've identified that if I'm selling a pan, that you have a better handle that makes it easier to grip the pan and move it around while you're cooking. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do. You can change the product, you can change the packaging. You can position yourself as a more premium brand or an everyday brand. I mean, there's so many decisions that go into what ultimately culminates in this offer that's on the listing. There's so many ways that you can differentiate. And yeah,
that's great. So we have a Cody here, Cody Kennedy. That's quite a name. It sounds like a presidential person. Anyway, what kinds of products do the best on Amazon when companies first start out? So I think that my answer to that would be the successful ones do the best.
Right.
But trying to get jokes aside, how would you respond to that, Cyrus?
Yeah, the ones that have done that are executing on a good plan properly. I mean, it doesn't matter what your product is. It's just a matter about how you present and how you work on Amazon. So, really any product. I mean, we've seen every type of product. From the industrial to the fidget spinner again. I mean, let's bring the fidget spinner back. But any type of product can do well. It's really just about how you navigate and work in the marketplace.
What about like health and beauty products? I have seen some things out there, like there's certain categories. Well, categories that are gated on Amazon, so you have to get through this kind of first step that makes it a little bit difficult. But other areas are a little bit more saturated. What would you say to that, Cyrus?
Yeah, generally speaking, I mean, anything in the health and fitness space. I mean, a lot of supplements and a lot of skincare.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people that come out with items, and it's a very saturated space. I mean, it's a very competitive space. Let's not say saturated, because there's always room for good products. That said, there are more competitive categories where it's just more. It might require more of an investment to succeed, but at the end of the day, you can still succeed in those areas too.
And honestly, I think they're so competitive or a little bit more busy because there's so many sales on that. I was just looking at moisturizer the other day, and it was like 500,000 searches a month for someone. It was just like crazy. The money up there is just really crazy. We have another one. Steven asked Cody a question. Apparently, they're talking to each other now. And also, by the way, Cecilia hopped in here and she said, "Awesome answer. Thank you so much for the help." So thank you, Cecilia. Now we'll get back to Steven here. What about products that I should avoid selling on Amazon? So, and I think I just kind of brought that up with health and beauty. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes, Steven. Are there any other products that you would avoid selling on Amazon?
No, it's just more so about what we talked about earlier. Like, if you can, let's say you have a sub $20 product. If you can make good margin, or if you have some sort of serious advantage there, then by all means, let's go for it. But that's something where like if you are coming in without any sort of manufacturing advantage or supply advantage, right? That's maybe the line in the sand that I would draw. But even then, again, if with the proper plan, you can do anything with Amazon.
So that makes sense. And then Chelsea has a question here. How many products should I have before I create a storefront?
One.
Right.
I mean, the minute you have your first product, you can create a single product storefront.
Okay. And is the storefront really beneficial, or what's your take on that?
More so. So like what we're seeing a lot in what Amazon is releasing to sellers as different tools, and where sales are coming from. The storefront is going to become an increasingly important part of the overall Amazon strategy, and this is because Amazon is really focusing on becoming a marketplace for brands and not just resellers. And so, yeah, we're seeing that Amazon is rewarding free traffic to great looking storefronts, and so it's definitely a big part of the future Amazon strategy.
Okay, that's great. Okay, well, that's all the time I have today. Sorry, Nikita. We will get to your question next time. We try to keep these to a little over a half an hour, and we're out at this. Again, I'm Ryan Flanagan, and this is Cyrus. Do you want to say goodbye?
You guys.
This is Cyrus. And we appreciate you tuning in. We will be back next week with another episode in this series, really talking about some of the best practices for Amazon sellers. All right. Thanks. Have a great one. Cheers. Again, thank you, everybody, for the engagement. We really appreciate it. Cheers.